Shalom, my little friends. Okay, Matthew 15, 1 through 9. Then came to Yahushua the scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, Why do thy disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread. But he answered and said unto them, Why do ye also transgress the commandment of Yahuwah God by your tradition? For Yahuwah God commanded, saying, Honor thy father and mother. He that curseth father or mother, let him die the death. But ye say, Whosoever shall say to his father or his mother, It is a gift, by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me, and honor not his father or his mother, he shall be free. Thus have ye made the commandment of Yahuwah God of none effect by your tradition. Ye hypocrites, well did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying, This people draw nigh unto me with their mouth, and honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. Okay, we're going to read in the Complete Jewish Bible, 15:4 through 6. For Yahuwah God said, Honor your father and mother, and anyone who curses his father or mother must be put to death. But you say, if anyone says to his father or his mother, I have promised to give to Yahuwah God what I might have used to help you, then he is rid of his duty to honor his father or mother. Thus by your tradition you make null and void the word of Yahuwah God. Interesting here. What does eating bread with unwashed hands have to do with honoring your father and your mother? And then we read on down that he says, if anyone says to his father or mother, if anyone says, Mom, Dad, I promise to give God what I might use to help you, they're rid of their duty to his father and his mother. So they don't have to honor father and mother anymore if they tell their father or their mom and dad, I promise to give God what I was going to help you with. What does that have to do with eating bread with unwashed hands? What does that have to do with Isaiah prophesying, saying they honor me with their lips, with their mouth, but not with their heart? They worship me in vain. They make void the word of Yahuwah God, the commandment of Yahuwah God. And look at that. Look at Yahushua Jesus. 10 commandments. He's not speaking of one God and one God only. He's not speaking of love thy neighbor as thyself. He's speaking of another commandment here in Matthew chapter 15. Honor thy father and mother. He never tells us in this commandment that, hey, don't stop doing this commandment, or stop doing this commandment. He tells us this is what the scribes and the Pharisees have taken and twisted. And I know that Yahushua Jesus brought up the prophecy of Isaiah, because once again, the Pharisees, if you read this, even in the Complete Jewish Bible and in the King James Version, it sounds like it's stuff, materialism, things. But when you go to Isaiah, where this prophecy is being spoken of, let's go to Isaiah 29:9. Stay yourselves and wonder, cry ye out and cry. They are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. For Yahuwah the Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and hath closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers, the seers, hath he covered. And the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, the elders, the mothers, the fathers, the older ones, saying, Read this, I pray you, read this. And he says, I can't read it, for it is sealed. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee. And he says, I can't, I am not learned. I'm not learned. Sorry, paraphrase, please forgive me. I normally try to do that after I've read. Sorry. Please forgive me. I really try to read the word straight out before we do that. But, okay, so verse 13. Wherefore Yahuwah the Lord said, For as much as this people draw near me with their mouth and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear toward me is taught by the precept of men. Therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among this people, even a marvelous work and a wonder. For the wisdom of this wise man shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hid. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahuwah the Lord. And their works are in the dark, and they say, Who seeth us, and who knoweth us? Surely your turning of things upside down, the Kabbalists, Freemasons, shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, He made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, He hath no understanding? Is it not yet a very little while, and Lebanon shall be turned into a fruitful field, and the fruitful field shall be esteemed as a forest? 18. And in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book, and the eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity and out of darkness. The meek also shall increase their joy in Yahuwah the Lord, and the poor among men shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. For the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off, that make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turneth aside the just for a thing of naught. Therefore thus saith Yahuwah the Lord, who redeemed Abraham, concerning the house of Jacob. Jacob shall not now be ashamed, neither shall his face now wax pale. But when he seeth his children, the work of mine hands, in the midst of him, they shall sanctify my name, and sanctify the Holy One of Jacob, Yaakov, and shall fear the Yahuwah of Israel, the God of Israel. They also that erred in spirit shall come to understanding, and they that murmured shall learn doctrine. Interesting. Let's go to verse 20. For the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off, that make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. Think about this. You got preachers, alright? You got rabbis, dudes too. But you got preachers. They got their mom and dad there with them while they're preaching. Say that they do something, they decide that they're going to pipe up and judge somebody in front of the whole congregation. Think this is right, got the whole word proving that this is what they should be doing. They got Bible verses proving it. But before they go up, they tell Dad about it. Dad says, well, son, I've done something like that before, and I don't think that's such a good idea. I'm telling you, that's not. You hush, old man. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm right here. I know I'm right. Or say, this child is 40 years old, and he's got a ministry going on, but he's got a family that he's totally just disregarded and forgot all about, and he's really not doing right with his wife, and his mom comes to him and says, son, I was this way at one point, and I walked in these shoes, and the word of Yahuwah tells us to do it this way, and you need to pay attention to what you're doing here. You shut up, old woman. You be quiet. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm in the Word all the time. You're rusty. You don't read much anymore. You're not in the Word. You don't understand. This is what we need to be teaching. This is what we need to be saying. Yeah, just in anything. And the same with the teaching a congregation in the wrong way. And Yahushua Jesus, says one day to the dad, a grandpa, maybe it's a grandson that's preaching, or a rabbi. Yahushua, Jesus comes to him, this ain't right, you shouldn't be doing this. Tells him. He goes and tells his grandson, son, this is not right, we need to be teaching this way, I've done this, I've walked in this, I'm telling you, I've seen these things, this is not right, this is against the word. I was wrong. Please understand. You hush, old man. Because the son's done got a huge ministry. Everybody's listening to him. They like what he's saying. They like what's going on. He's revealing things. Everything seems to be working all right. All while he's deceived. Yahushua Jesus has put a spirit of deep sleep upon them. Yahuwah says, I put a spirit of deep sleep upon them. Close their eyes. Prophets and your rulers, the seers have he covered. Vision of all is becoming to you as words of a book that is sealed. They will try to read these parables and these prophecies. The parables are meant for Yahushua's true children, the Nazarene, the ones that pray, the ones that know that Yahushua Jesus is real, and get in his word, that understand what he is saying here, what his parables mean. This is who he speaks to. This is who he reveals his mysteries to. But he goes down and he speaks about, he's going to redeem his children, Yaakov, Abraham. Redeem Abraham concerning the house of Yaakov, the house of Jacob. Hallelujah, hallelujah. He says he's going to open. In that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book, and the eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity, out of darkness. Meek shall increase with their joy, in joy of the Lord. Revelation chapter 10. John. I can't remember if it's a sign that John is shown, but John is given a little book. The whole chapter is about John being given this little book. And he is to eat this book. And it says in that chapter that in the end of time, Yahuwah's mysteries will be revealed. Be fulfilled, be revealed, be fulfilled. And that's what he's talking about here. And he talks about this book that is sealed. I've been getting this book until it's time to get in this book. Until it's time to get in this book. That's when this book can be getting into. My voice. 10:4. And when the seven thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write, and I heard the voices from heaven saying unto me, Seal up those things which seven thunders uttered, and write them not. And the angel shall saw stand upon the sea, upon the earth, lifted up his hand to heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever ever, who created heaven, and the things that are therein, and the earth, and the things which are therein, and the sea, and the things which are therein, that there should be time no longer. But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of Yahuwah God shall be finished, as he hath declared to his servants the prophets. Hallelujah. So, this is what he's talking about. This mystery, the sealed book. And in that day, the deaf will hear the words of the book. Eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity, out of darkness. The terrible one is brought to naught, the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off. Iniquity is lawlessness. It's not having Torah, the 10 Commandments, the understanding of the 10 Commandments. Write them down in chapter 15 of Matthew. He goes down and he says, For out of the heart, let's go 15, 16. And Yahushua Jesus said, Are ye also yet without understanding? Do not ye yet understand that whatsoever entereth in at the mouth goeth into the belly, and is cast out into the drought? But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. These are the things which defile a man, but to eat with unwashed hands defile not a man. The ones that work iniquity, they have evil thoughts, they're murderers, adulterers, fornicators, thefts, false witnesses, blasphemers. These are ones, and they think that they're doing right. They're doing works for you of God all the time. They going to church on Sunday or Shabbat service on Saturday. They're going on Wednesday night. They're giving all glory to the King. They're giving most of their money to the ministry. They're serving and doing and going, right? But all the while, they got this sin that's inside of them, and they're the elders. The council of the elders, the mothers and fathers that walk the walk and talk the talk and done the thing, have the testimony. They're trying to tell them, you need to be, trying to get this out. You don't need to be having this on you. You need to speak this and ask for forgiveness for this. This is not right. You're doing wrong here. There's some sin going on here. You've got too much going on, murders and adulteries, fornications, thefts. And this ain't murder as in killing somebody, shedding their blood. It's literally as in killing them with your words. Putting them down, shutting them up, tearing them down, not holding back the true word. Adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witnesses, blasphemies. So these are the things which defile a man. So if you got this sin inside of you that's a seed, and say you condemning somebody else, or say somebody, not you, so a person is constantly condemning somebody else. Oh, look at the sin that they're doing. That's horrible. And they just can't stop speaking about this horrible sin this other person is doing. That's because they got a sin that's going on in here. And it's seated. And they just justifying everything they've done, and they try to keep their sin covered by not speaking about their sin. Speak about everybody else's, but don't speak about theirs. Don't even speak about, I don't want to speak about my sin even out in the open by myself, because somebody might hear it. Oh, we don't want that. We don't want nobody to know what I've done. Oh, this is horrible. But gotta speak this stuff. You gotta get it out into existence. If you don't speak, hey, I done this sin, if you don't speak it out, it's just gonna sit there and it's gonna manifest every bit of this stuff. That's why it isn't, just a little off subject here, because I really love this chapter, and I love that he says this. It's not what goes into the mouth, it's what comes out. It ain't what you put in your body. None of it. Not drinking, not drugs, not smoking cigarettes, not watching television, not listening to vile music, not none of that. Okay? Not the funky stuff that we feed ourselves with, but the food of all these fast food places, none of that. It's not what you put into your body. It's literally, Father, please forgive me for this sin that I have done. For right away, specifically asking for forgiveness for a sin that you have done, whether it be gluttonous, whether it be whatever it is, in specific words. That way the shame can be removed from you. He brings up, they shall be ashamed no more. No more. The shame's got to go. But David would pray to remove his shame. But these that hold this sin inside, they might condemn this one for doing this and condemn that one for doing that. All the while they're not confessing their own sins. They're hiding behind closed doors. And instead of paying attention to what happened to mom or dad in the past because of them doing something sort of like this, they just don't listen. Just turn away from it. Don't honor the father or mother. Don't listen to the testimony of who's just brought them through. So he's talking to these scribes and these Pharisees. The words, the counsel, it's not stuff, it's not things. It's not materialism. It's not mammon. What the Pharisees made it to be, turned and twisted it. They twisted it into mammon. It's counsel. It's words. Words are powerful. We sacrifice with our words now, not with a lamb on Mount Olives. Okay? That's not what we sacrifice with, not with blood. Yahushua Jesus has covered us with our blood. That's why our testimony is so powerful, because we sacrifice with our words. Testimony, sacrifice with our words. And the blood of Yahushua Jesus is our covering. So as we're sacrificing and sharing our testimony, sacrificing with our words, Yahushua Jesus' blood is the blood, the covering. So it just cuts on right through Lucifer, Satan, and old serpent, the devil. Bye-bye. Hallelujah. Well, praise Yahushua. Thank you so much for listening. Please get into this stuff, because there is so much going on in Isaiah 29. I still don't quite understand it. He's speaking to Ariel. Sounds like we won't even get into that. Hallelujah. Praise Yahushua.